In three, two, one.
You're listening to the Breezy Moms podcast on Digital Stream Radio.
What does Candice do? That's a question I asked myself today while I was trying to get my whole life together. I'm not really sure yet, but it's in progress and it's coming together. So stick around.
Hey everyone, you're listening to the Breezy Moms podcast, a weekly show that chronicles the adventures of motherhood. I'm Candice. Now let's start the show.
Hey,
Hello, baby girl. How are you?
I'm so good. I'm so good. How are you?
I'm wonderful. It's Thursday. It's Breezy Moms Podcast Thursday. As you all know, you can access this podcast on all the podcasting mediums, including Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, and oh God, Spotify.
Spotify.
Why? Why do I always forget Spotify?
Because you don't care about them. It's okay. We all
Right?
have our
Yeah.
favorites.
Yeah. Well, they black my show because my show has music. So,
That's why you don't like them.
well, that's
It
why we don't
finally
use
comes
them,
out.
right? We don't use them, right? Because what ends up happening, a lot of people don't realize that when you do a podcast, if you're using music, you have to have permission to use music, the rights to use that work. Either from the artist or from the publishing companies that exist. And if you don't, then certain vendors won't carry you. And
Mhm.
while we have permission from the individual artists that we feature on our show, it's very hard to produce that email or that letter that the artist has written giving us permission and have them accept it as a means to syndicate the show. So we're like, screw you
Ah,
then.
right. That's
We'll do
why I
it on
use
our own
copyright-free
website.
music. That's
So
why I go the copyright-free route. But there's always a workaround, and there's so many other platforms that you can run your
right.
podcasts on. So
But the thing is, when you have an artist and they
mhm.
want you to play their music, it's like, what do you do?
That's true. That's a good
Right?
point. That's a
And
good
so,
point.
we're stuck between a hard rock and a hard surface.
A, a rock and a hard place.
There you go. I'm sorry.
It's
That
okay.
terminology sort of kind of goes over, gay people's heads. So,
I
and
think
typically
it's
we're
cute
very
though.
witty about shit like that, but it is what it is. So anyway,
It is what it is. But here we are. It's Thursday, and
right.
that's just a podcaster nugget. So if you are thinking about starting your own podcast, keep the music piece in mind. But like you said, here we are. It's Thursday. I'm so excited. I cannot believe that it's Thursday already. I feel like we just did an episode, but it's been a good, busy week.
Right.
And so this is a time where I feel like sometimes when the days drag, it's the days drag. But when things are just kind of clicking and clicking, then it's James would say we're on the frequency. I'm on the right frequency,
Well,
and so
time
things are just
flies when you're on
time
Prozac.
flies. Yeah, I'm not on Prozac, not yet,
That's a
not
joke.
yet at least.
No, I mean, you're right. It's been a very, very crazy, chaotic, super fast moving week. And it seems like the closer you get to the ending of daylight savings time, the
Mhm.
faster time flies. Right.
Yes,
And
I'm
so
trying
we're
to soak up as much sun as I can.
we're literally barreling straight towards the ending of daylight savings times, which means that we fall back. That's going to happen on November 1st.
I know that's soon. It's a couple weeks.
And
Well, let's not talk about it yet. Let's leave it. Let's leave it.
well, no,
Let's
I
not get there
mean,
yet.
the reason why it's in my head is because normally I know when it's happening because I work at a bar. And
Hmm.
so at 2 o'clock in the morning, Sunday morning, it becomes 1 o'clock. And then the owner can stay open till 3 o'clock if he wanted to, technically,
Ah,
right? And so
right.
every time he always decided to do that, it would piss me off because that meant he got us for an extra hour, right?
Right.
And so, that's the only reason why it's in my head. And then now it's like, what am I going to use to remind myself that I have to set the clocks back an hour?
Mm.
I'm gonna be late on Monday. Sorry, just saying.
I remember I used to try to use that in high school. So I went to boarding school, and when we didn't have detention, we had detention on Sundays, where I mean, I guess regular school had detention in the afternoon. But we had Sunday morning detention. It was from 9 to 11:30.
Huh.
And it was a bummer because who wants to wake up at, to be somewhere at 9 o'clock on a Sunday morning? And my freshman year in high school, I the only free Sunday I had was the first Sunday that we got to school. And then I used to get detention all the time for being late. I think it was like maybe it was like two detentions or three, not two detentions. I think it was like two or three latenesses would get
Mm.
you a detention. And so over the course of the week, I would definitely be late to at least two or three classes. Like
Lord have
five classes
mercy.
every day. That's
Don't
25
say.
chances to be late. Like I was definitely late to a couple of them.
Don't say it
So
out loud.
I had detention every single Sunday except the very first Sunday of freshman year. And 20 years later I still remember that. But why was I telling this story? Oh, because the thing they reminded us all the time is that daylight savings is not an excuse to be late to
Detention.
detention, right? And so if you messed around and tried to use it, then you just get another detention.
Mm.
Um, but
Well,
yeah,
I
thank
just
you
feel like you
Thank you,
admitting
you
that.
called it.
I just feel like you admitting that and putting that on record on a podcast that will most likely live and survive the test
Forever.
of time. And
Uh-huh.
eventually your kids are going to be like, Ma, you remember that time where you said you got detention every other time when you're yelling at them for being late to class or whatever?
No, no, no.
Yeah.
They're like their father and they like to be on time. So
Well,
they are
that's
the
good.
ones in here going, we have to go. Or they'll say, we're not late, we're on time. So they'll be fine. They'll be absolutely
Speaking of your little bundles of joy,
fine.
how are your boys?
So my boys are really good as usual. They're typically always good. The thing about them that I'm thinking about the most right now is as we are, you're thinking about daylight savings, but I am thinking about schools reopening in a couple weeks. And so they're scheduled to open up on November 9th. And I am not confident in the plan that is set for them to go back to school.
I
So
feel like that's going to get canceled.
I'm in the midst of figuring out an alternative because the woman who leads my pod is going to have to go back to work. And so
Right.
my pod will end. And so I need to find another option. And right now the challenge has been I find a place that can take one but not both. So I've now found two different places. So I have a place for them each to go, but it would be better if they were in the same place, right?
Right.
Number one, it would be better logistically, and number two, it would be better in terms of reducing exposure. So I'm still in the midst of figuring that out, and that's kind of consuming me right now, and I'm trying not to go too overboard in the like thinking about it, but I
It's kind of hard
really
not to though. I mean,
yeah.
when you're seeing Boston public schools closed with 1 day notice,
Mhm.
all of them, right?
Hmm.
And you're seeing
I
these
did not even
cases.
hear about that.
Yeah, they literally closed. They gave parents a 1 day notice, and now they're all doing strictly remote again because
Yep.
of the uprise in COVID cases that are being reported. And all you can say is like, man, if you want to get through this, wash your hands and wear your mask,
Right.
people.
Yeah.
Do what you're supposed to do, and we eventually will get through this. We're
Right.
not too far off from a vaccine. And so, and not only that, it just think about the stress that parents get put through. You are going through it right now, and you haven't even started,
Been in school.
right?
Yeah.
Your kids haven't even gotten there yet, and you're already stressing, thinking about the logistics of what you need to move around. Like you literally have to move earth and water to make things happen.
Mhm.
To then the next week they say, "Oh no, we're going to go back."
Exactly, exactly. So that's where I am right now. Right now they're scheduled to open up on the 9th, and James would say don't put bad, the negative out into the air, but I give them 2 weeks tops to be open before they have to close again.
Right,
Every single district that I've heard of, and I didn't even hear about Boston, but every other one that has opened has had to close. The district my mom lives in right now is closed because 30, not the district, but one of the schools closed because 30 kids were exposed um, to Corona. It's just,
well, the
I
thing
just,
is, we don't have a treatment for it. We don't
Right.
have a vaccine for it. So
Right.
anything that you attempt to do and where you're leaving it up to the public to be the people that make the right decisions
Right.
is going to fail.
Right, because individually, like I have a little bit of confidence in people individually, but definitely in mass, I have
Right.
very low tolerance and confidence in any of them. It's part of why I don't go out in large crowds. It's part of why. It's part of why, like, we continue to have an uptick, right? It's part of why the mayor has to officially cancel Halloween because
Right.
in mass we don't know how to act. So that's where my head is at, in terms of the boys. The boys themselves are fine, and we're doing everything that we can. They still feel a little bit of stress. They keep asking me like, how come they can't go into the store, or and of course now Lincoln is pushing back. Will you go into the store? And I said, yeah, but I'm trying to keep you safe. My whole situation in life is to keep you safe,
Right.
right?
And they don't
And if you
understand that.
yeah, so that's what I tell them all the time, and I'm like, if you get sick and it's because I let you, a 6-year-old, convince me that you should go into Walmart, then it's a problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I would rather you be annoyed that you have to stay in the car than have to take you to the hospital. And that is my right as your mother. So enough.
Yeah, it's very disturbing. And all I can say is that we are going to get there eventually, but it's going to be a
Yeah.
very, very rough
Right.
next year. I mean, if we thought these past 9, 10 months were bad, I
Hmm.
mean, just wait. I mean, until we have a vaccine that's effective, this,
That people are willing to take.
right?
'Cause I like vaccines, but I'm not taking a vaccine that took 3 months to make,
You
so
know,
I'm
the
just saying.
the thing is that until there's a vaccine that's effective, that we're seeing progress with, that people are taking, and that as a result of that, people are gaining some sort of immunity, then you can start integrating society back into places that are a little bit more laxed.
Mhm.
And that's not going to happen anytime soon. And not only that, on
Exactly.
top of the fact that we don't have a vaccine currently for COVID, and some are being developed, and one was just stopped abruptly because of some undisclosed illness that's
Right,
one of
somebody
the
died. Sorry,
it's
that's not funny. I'm not
it
laughing. I'm not laughing at that.
it's going to get compounded with the fact that we're literally in the starting phases of the flu season,
Mhm.
right?
Ooh,
and
as you say that, I got my flu shot. I got it
and
yesterday,
s-
today, I'm not sure when, but I went and got it.
and so now you're going to start seeing hysteria settle in, right?
Mhm.
People get the flu, everyone's going to think they have COVID. These testing centers are going to be bombarded with unnecessary cases because you might have the flu as opposed to COVID because they have very similar symptoms. And this
Yeah,
is going to be a shit show. Like, I
yeah.
plan not to leave my four walls in my house for a long
For
time,
a
and I'm
while.
okay with that.
So, before we get too far off from it, if you have not already gone to get your flu shot, I would go and get it. You can get it from any of the local pharmacies. I got it from this is the first year that I actually got my flu shot from my primary care physician, and I got scheduled in. I was planning to go to one of the pharmacies, CVS or Walgreens, but my PCP called me, and so I just took the opportunity to go. And what else? Oh, and we scheduled the boys, and James is planning to go. So the boys are scheduled for November 12th, and James will go to a pharmacy hopefully this weekend, right? And I
Right.
say that I'm like being very specific about it because our well visits tend to be in the summertime because of Emery's birthday is in July, and in the spring, Lincoln's birthday is in the spring. And so every year I say I'm going to schedule the flu shots early, and I don't because I don't have the well visit to like remind me. And then every year, by the time you remember it, they're running low. And so then you have to wait until the second round or like the second. And the pharmacies will not give the flu shot to little kids under a certain age. I don't
Right.
know. I know my kids are not old enough for it, so I don't know if it's 10 years old. I don't know if it's 12 years old, but I know at 5 and 6 they don't want to they don't want to give the flu shot. So you really have to get it from your doctor, and you've got to get on the schedule. So
Right.
if you are hearing this now and you want to use this as your like
Reminder.
as your reminder to schedule your flu shot, I highly recommend it, because last year we had to go to like the city, the city offered situation. Like Lincoln was on the local news because we were at this thing where they were trying in a last ditch effort to get everybody the flu shot before the January cutoff. And
Right.
here in Connecticut, everyone has to have proof of the flu vaccine, of like the proper vaccines, before January 1, or else you get excluded from school.
Right.
And I think that this year they have removed all of the non-medical exemptions for vaccines. So if you're a person who has in the past had an exemption because of religious reasons, or um, whatever other reasons other than medical, I would double check that, because I don't think that those
I don't think that apply
exemptions
anymore
are
because
going
I
to
think the governor
apply.
signed it into law
Right, right. So
because we had that outbreak of measles.
yep, 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 yep,
Mhm.
yep. So use this as your reminder to go
Okay.
like get your vaccine situation under
And
wraps.
your hubby could have gone to work and gotten them because they were offering them at work last week.
Oh, oh, I mean, I don't know. Whatever.
But
He's
that's
gonna
okay.
get it because
He's gonna get it all right.
he's gonna get it. So yeah, the boys are good. James is good. We're all good. We're in here. We're in here. Striving and thriving, I think, is a good descriptor of what we're doing. Which brings me to what I wanted to talk about tonight, because I have been feeling like. I've been feeling like I could do it. I can do anything, right? And I think I have been just doing anything.
Like
I feel
seriously?
I just get a thought into my head and I'm like, bet I can do that. And I feel a little bit like there's a kid's book with a dude who's holding a bunch of hats, or like a Harlem Globetrotter. I'm just spinning ball.
You
It
own
sounds
them
weird when
all.
I say it out.
No, like
I'm just
seriously, every
spinning.
time I go on your Facebook page or on Breezy Moms or on all the other pages that you have, it's like you have a new LLC. I was like, what is it this week?
Okay, I
I'm
don't have
like,
a new LLC. They're all under the same thing, but
I'm like, she is
I'm
busy.
just trying some new things. And I think about it as like spinning a few, let's say plates, right? Because spinning balls sounds weird on on the mic.
If the
But
shoe
I'm just like,
fits.
or tops, right? I'm spinning
Right.
some tops and I'm just looking to see which ones topple over and which ones keep spinning. Like that's how I'm living my life right now. And so I got into this mood today because I think it was this weekend that my cousin was here and didn't know that we were making videos, that we were doing some digital marketing and some promo, like video promos.
Right.
And so James is like, how come your cousin doesn't know? And I was like, I don't know. And so it just got me thinking, like, do people know what I'm doing? Am I so focused on what I'm doing that I'm not actually talking about that? Is that okay? Right? Like, there's definitely something to be said about moving in silence, but I've had a podcast for 106 episodes, so I'm not very silent. So sometimes you got to
Right.
live in your truth, right? You got to live in your truth. And I'm not the like move in silence kind of person. So I it felt like putting myself out there, but I asked today like of people on Facebook, because if it's not on Facebook, it's not real. I was like, what does
Truth.
Candice do? What do you think that I do? And thankfully, all the answers came back and I was like, yes, that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. Like
Hmm.
it felt pretty good to be
Yep.
seen for the
Doing
things that
that.
I'm doing.
Doing that. Doing that. Doing that
So
too. Hmm.
exactly, exactly. So I wanted to use this episode, it's episode 106, to kind of take stock of where we are now, where the show is right now, and sort of think out loud a little bit about what I see coming, because I would like to be able to look back at this at episode like 206 or like 150 and see what came to and what
Right.
didn't, right? Like,
And
so
typically, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, you just keep it going.
exactly, exactly. That's how I feel. Or at least that's how I'm leaning into feeling, right? So, before we jump into like that deeply, one of the things that I'm doing is you might know that I have a sister podcast to the Breezy Moms podcast, which is called the Amplify podcast. Is that what it's called? It's just called Amplify.
Right. And it's a
But it's
video version
called
of a podcast, right?
Exactly, exactly. Which this has become now, right? We're doing this. When we started, we were just audio. And then basically a couple months before Corona, we started running the video, right? And then because of Corona, we uh, like leaned in heavy to the video. And so now this has kind of become a video podcast. But anyway, Amplify is another show that I do that is more interview, is more serious. I think of Breezy Moms as being my Howard Stern and Amplify as being my Oprah. I don't like that's how I think.
Right. And it's
I get
okay.
serious on Amplify.
Listen, it's
And
it's okay to have, a specific niche for each one. Like, this is where I have my serious talk. This is where I feature people that are doing amazing things in the community, and then I'm going to use Breezy Moms to really just sort of kind of let it all out and just say, this is what I'm going through. And, you
this
get
one has
to
beer.
and
Breezy Moms has
wine
beer.
or truly, and then you get this crazy, gay boy on the other end who's sort of like your
Exactly.
sidekick, and we just
Exactly.
kiki.
It works. It really works. And so yes, we have Amplify, and then because of the work that I've been doing lately, which is around small business launching. I've been working with a few people who are launching new business ideas, digital production, some digital marketing, some social media marketing, because that is the kind of work that I am leaning heavy into as I have shut down my daycare, which some people didn't realize, but I have shut down the daycare. I have my last pack and play is in my car. I've been driving around with it for a week trying to find someone to give it to because Goodwill will not take items. But we're cleansing the house of the daycare. James calls it burning the bridge, right? Like
Right.
that chapter is closed. It is over, and we're now moving into this next one. But so because of this new work that I'm doing, I started a series called the Amplify Showcase, and that came out of talking with people through about their business and about their products that they're selling, and trying to get people to hone in on their pitch. Like how do you talk about your business so that people get amped up about it and are super excited? And how do you practice selling? If you're going to be a small business owner and you're going to like want to make some money, like people have to buy your stuff. And so
Right.
how are you going to do that? So that launched the Amplify Showcase, which is a platform that I use for entrepreneurs and creatives and small businesses to come on and talk about their products. Who's in charge over there? Today we have Kaam's Closet.
I have on one of the Havana tanks that we have, and these come in 7 colors. I have on the lilac one. Girl are the tummy tuckers. Everybody needs some light and tight leggings in your life.
You need to make money. You went into that business because obviously you want to make money. And some people are fortunate, right? Some people are fortunate enough to not only make money while they have their business, but they make money doing what they love, right?
Right.
Like, for example, if you're a potter, people who do pottery, right? If you love doing that and then now you're selling your stuff, not only do you have to love creating it, you have to love talking about it and showcasing it to people so that they can buy it. And that's important.
It is.
And some people don't have that skill.
But it's a good one to learn, especially if you're running your business by yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us are a shop of one. And until you can get a sales team, you have to be the sales team. And even when you get a sales team, you're going to have to teach them how to sell your product. So might as well get your hand, like elbow deep, and get out there and sell your product. So it's been, what is that? What's happening?
Elbow deep.
Oh,
so
it's been
that's what I was. My microphone was covering the important part.
Yes, 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 yes.
This
So
wasn't
it's
a
been
Hail Hydra kind of thing.
right.
Don't
That was
get it
great for a
twisted,
second.
people.
So it's been super exciting. We've had 3 episodes launch already. The first was our friend Janae Marks and her book, "The From the Desk of Zoe Washington," and so that was fantastic. She came. I love her because I was like, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing this thing. You want to come on?" And she was like, "Yes." And I just love people who are just like, "You jump first, right?" And I was like,
Right.
"Jump with me first, and we will figure it out." And it was amazing. And so she came on to promote From the Desk of Zoe Washington. So you can find that episode at if you search at I'm sorry, at Amplify Showcase on YouTube. The show is going to be on YouTube. And then we also had our friend Keisha from Cam's Closet, who is our like strong buff mama from Maryland. She's got an athletic wear boutique with some amazing athletic slash athleisure. I guess athletic and athleisure is too many. It's athleisure, but it's also performance, right? It's not just, oh, I look cute, which is what I try to do is like look like I'm going to the gym, but I'm never actually going to the gym. Her stuff is really good performance stuff. And so she came on, her and her like cute family, her beautiful family. They are co-owners and models. I love it. That's a whole is a
I
whole
saw
family
that. I
business.
was like, I remember like you came on the vid and you were like, who's in charge over there?
Exactly. And it's always the little one. It's always the
Right.
little one who's in
Right.
charge. So Cam's Closet came on. So if you're looking for any like dope athletic wear, definitely check out that episode. And then also our favorite Mama Kim from Pocket
Oh,
Pride Plus. She came on. She just recently launched her website, pocketprideplus.com, and where she is selling handcrafted items that are made with love and are pride themed, but obviously are make perfect gifts for anyone that you love. Look at them there, yes.
hmm.
And of course, I'll make sure to link. I will link all of the things in the description bar so you can go and
Look
check
at
those
that.
out.
That's a little keychain for
Yes,
the transgender flag that she made.
yes, yes. And
She sends us everything.
she is doing care packages now. So if you can think of people at home. Like I already sent one of her items to my cousin who just moved to New Mexico, my cousin Skylar, who you know. She moved to
Hmm.
New Mexico and she's in a new place and she's like on her own and meeting new people, wanting to send her some love, right? That we're thinking about her. There's nothing better than opening up, getting mail, right? That's like real mail from someone that you love and not just like a DSW coupon, which is all that comes to my house now.
Sorry.
So
So
definitely, if you have someone on your list that you're thinking about, not just for the holidays, but now you haven't seen them in a long time and you want to show them some love, definitely check out Pocket Pride Pluses. They're called Send Love Care Packages. So
so
definitely
what I
send some
just wanted to
love.
quickly mention. So you see this flag here in the back,
Uh-huh.
this wall flag. She made that
Yeah.
for us.
Oh, she's incredible.
She
So it's like
is.
a mini version of that.
Yes. So she made 3 of those for each one of the hosts on our show, and
Hmm.
it is something that we treasure. They're each signed in the back with a nice little message stitched into the actual. She really takes really good care in really personalizing a lot of the things that she does, and which is why we love her. But
Absolutely.
also because she's our fan, and she's been a part of our show for the better part of 2.5 plus years, and
Yep.
she's also like our unofficial like correspondence contributor, right?
Right.
Because she all week long she'll send us little snippets of things that are happening in the LGBTQ world, and she'll say, hey, did you see this, or did you see
Hmm.
that? And so what we've done to thank her for that effort that she makes every week with us is we created a whole segment
I love it.
that's called Mama Kim's Minute. And within that segment, we highlight all the stories that she sends us via email, and then we put them on our post so
I
that people
love
can
it.
go click on those stories and read them. And so, she's
Absolutely.
just amazing overall.
I love it. But see, these are the kinds of things that I think we miss out on
Right.
when we think first to go to, I like to run out of my house and go like peruse the aisles of Target or, you go straight on to Amazon. But if something comes up and you're thinking about sending something special, Maybe you start with something that is handcrafted, something that is from a small business, something that's from a founder, right? There's so many people who are, um, they're just absolutely committed to this idea that they have. And while it brings them, income as it should, we all need a thriving income to survive. They do it for a reason, right? There's
Right.
something that drove them to start this small business.
Right.
And so if you can support them while they support their family and bring this thing to you, whatever it is, you should definitely, we talk a lot about shopping small, and shop small Saturday. I think it's the Saturday before Black Friday or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. It's coming up soon, but definitely think about shopping small all the time, right? Whenever you can,
Right.
and supporting the people around you who are going out on a limb and trying something new, and definitely trying to grow their business. So
And
that is
especially stores
my
in your community too, right? Like,
exactly.
right.
Whether that's your local community or your like identified community or your chosen community, whatever that is, if you can support people, definitely do that. So I've just been super excited in a lot of the conversations that I've had this week and over the last couple weeks, talking to people who are launching new ideas. This is a time where, you know, like part of the joke about 2020 is like 2020 no rules, but for someone who's been ruminating over an idea for years,
It's
right?
a
This
perfect
actually
opportunity.
is a perfect opportunity to try and launch something. So I have been lucky
Your
enough.
gears have been grinding on like overtime.
Yes, I have been lucky enough to that people have invited me in to their process, right? And where they are stuck, because I have some experience launching a couple businesses, launching a podcast, launching 3 podcasts, right? Like, because I have some experience, I'm able to sort of help like turn the wheel when it gets stuck, right? And so it's been a really, really, really amazing time for me, and I think for everyone. So it has me thinking about brand, right? And a lot of times people think that your brand is like your logo, right? Or the colors you choose or the words that you use or whatever. But your brand is more. Your brand is like how people feel when they think about you, what it is that people think you do, right? Does what you think you do match with what people think you do? Like
Right.
sometimes you think you're doing something and people are like, "Oh, but I thought you did this other thing." And you're like,
Right.
"Oh, there's a disconnect."
Right. And so you have to really carefully plan out and but really you don't have to like lose your head over it, but you
Mm-mm.
really have to carefully plan out and put thoughtful insight
Mhm.
into how you see yourself, how you think people are going to see you, and then don't be afraid to reach
Ask.
out and do
Yes.
some focus groups and say,
Yep.
what does this inspire when you see this logo? What does it say to you? And
Or
take
what do
that
you think of
feedback.
when you think of me?
Right.
Or what do you think about what I'm doing? Or,
Listen,
especially if you talk to people who have worked with you, right? Like, why
big,
is it that you chose to work with me? Why is it that you came back a second time? Like,
right,
all of that is really good feedback that as small business owners, as creators, right? You could be, I guess you have two options, right? You can do what you want and wait for people to find you, or you can do what you want, check in on how people are receiving it, and maybe adjust to meet them in the middle if it's
right.
different from what you think. You know what I
Listen,
mean? And find a place that's comfortable for you.
big companies do it all the time. I mean, think about how many times, for example, these fast food restaurants, before they throw out anything
Uh-huh.
into their stores or into their restaurants,
Focus
all the
group.
focus groups that they have. Do you know that there are people out there that will sit there and try Big Macs with little secret sauce, like different sauces for money?
Right, right. Or
They
the
have you
how
come
much
in
sauce?
like, here's some mystery meat. Eat that. Tell me if you like it. Oh, you do? Well, guess what? It's coming out. Like, they do that.
Yes, of
People make
course.
money doing that. And so
Yeah.
don't be afraid to go out of your comfort zone and inquire about how people are, like Candice said, are receiving your product, because that will give you a level of insight that you cannot attain on your own.
Right. Right.
You need that feedback, because that feedback can do one of two things. It can discourage you, which I hope it doesn't,
Hmm.
or it can make you think about where you want to be 5, 10 years from now, doing this process and going through the process of creating things and selling them.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it can, I mean, it can validate that you're doing the right thing,
Hmm.
or it can make you take pause. And sometimes the pause is just a pause, right? You can just reevaluate a little bit. I think sometimes I'm thinking about what Janae Marks said when she was on our show, which is to ask for feedback, but make sure you're being thoughtful and specific about the kind of feedback you're asking from specific people, right? So you want to make sure that the feedback you're getting is uh, good and relative feedback, and not just like not from someone who has absolutely no business giving feedback
Right.
on your industry, right? Unless that's the kind of feedback you're looking for, right? If you're looking for out of the box because maybe you want to reach new customers, or you want to like present a different way, then yes, do that. But you definitely don't want to ask for literary feedback from someone who is a Big Mac taster,
It's like
right? Like you just
like, yeah, how does it taste? Like shit. No, no. I'll give you an example. Like, for example, Candice, when you started doing podcasts, right? You really weren't too sure what the podcast, what entailed in creating a podcast, right?
Mhm.
And so we sat down and we talked about a few things. Okay, what is your goal? What do you want to talk about, right? And as a producer, it's not for me to tell you what topics to talk about, right?
Mhm.
My main thing is you can talk about whatever you want, as long as the show sounds good and the sound is great. Anyone can take that conversation and run with it.
Right, right.
So for me, my thing is sound.
Yep.
Anything that I do that has to do with podcasting or videos or anything that we do, we have to sound amazing. Otherwise, I'm losing my shit. And so one of the first questions that I always ask people, not if they liked the content, because the content changes every week, and every week it's not going to be a hit for everyone, but how
Mhm.
did it sound?
Right,
Because
right.
that is my trademark.
Yeah, and focus on the things that are important to you.
Right.
Which brings me to the that I want to say out loud, which is again part of documenting, part of something I was thinking earlier is sometimes I do things, it might seem impulsively, or like I try to move as quickly as I can, because otherwise I'll overthink it and then I won't do anything, right? You can very easily talk yourself out of a good idea
Hmm.
if you sit on it for too long.
Right.
And I think over the last couple months, I mean, we'll obviously blame the pandemic, but also I think the last couple months I've been feeling a little lackluster about what I've been talking about on this show, right?
Right.
Because when we started the show 106 episodes ago, plus the 2 episodes that were never uh, released to the public, um, I was in a different place in my life, right?
Right.
I was Breezy Mom. Like I was just like that's I I don't want it to sound terrible, but like that's all I was, right? Like I was my whole life revolved around figuring out how to be the best mom that I could be.
Right.
But while I still continue to want to be the best mom that I can be, I feel like the last couple the over the last 2 years I've evolved a little bit. And sometimes I've been thinking like Breezy Moms doesn't quite say what I want it to say. And so I've been doing a lot of thinking about, is it the name of the show? Is it the show itself? Is it the topics? Like what is it? But right now my life is about being a really good mom, right? And wife, right? I feel like that's my family, but my life is a lot about small business and entrepreneurship,
Right.
right? Is a lot about entrepreneurship and what it takes um to get over fears, what it takes to like talk yourself off of a ledge, what it takes to manage the anxiety that comes with trying something new. Like that is what consumes me now because I feel like I'm doing all right in the family area. Like I have some
But I
days,
feel that
but
it fits though. right?
Right. I mean, yeah.
You being a breezy mom is not only are you, it's not that you're careless, right? Is that
Right.
you're very relaxed in the sense that you're not afraid to tackle anything.
Hmm.
And then you're going to get to the space and where you just want to talk about it and you're just going to
Yep.
shoot the shit and let it out.
Right.
And I think that that's what you've done with this particular platform is it
Yeah.
was a way for you to sort of kind of let it all out, right? You
Hmm.
go through and being boom, boom, boom. I got to get this done, this video done, that done. I got to go help this person. This person needs my assistance. I need to go follow up with this individual because this is something that I'm interested in. And then you can't talk about it in that moment.
Right.
And then you come on a show and then you just let it all out.
Right. And the most important part of this was my wanting to make sure that other people, like sometimes in motherhood and in being a wife, you can feel like you're alone, like the things that are
Right.
going on in your house or are like there's something you are not doing right or else this wouldn't be happening. And my whole intent and goal for this show is to make sure that other people know that in this area, like none of us are special. We are all going through the same kinds of like crazy,
Mm-hmm.
absurd. I couldn't even write it if I wanted to
Right.
stuff in the house. And so you shouldn't internalize any of that stuff. That's just like normal household parenting shit, right? Like
Right.
it's just normal stuff that we're all going through. Sometimes you have good days, sometimes you have bad days. It doesn't make you a bad person.
Right.
It just means that day was shit, right?
Well, parenting doesn't come with instructions. You don't get a
Mhm.
book that spells
Right.
out everything that's going to go right and everything that's going to go wrong and all the in betweens.
Exactly.
Those are things that you
Exactly.
learn by experience, and those are things that you learn by having conversations with other people who are in similar situations. Mothers who have kids, or
Yeah.
fathers who have kids, or,
Right.
different. It doesn't matter what the makeup of the family is. The fact that you have a child, you're going to go through guaranteed with a lot of the experiences that other parents go through and
Yep.
still feel that you're all alone in that aspect.
And on the same schedule, right?
Right.
Like I have friends whose kids are the same exact age as mine, and when we get together, they see my kid do something, and they're like, "Whew, Lord, I'm so glad." Right? It's like, "Oh, I'm sorry for you, but I'm so glad for me." Right?
Right.
And then we laugh about it because it definitely it takes a load off, it takes a weight off when you know that you're not the only one going through it. So I want to make sure that I acknowledge that, but I also want to make sure that people realize I want to put people on notice, and I'm putting myself on notice that there's going to be some evolving with the Breezy Moms podcast because there's been an evolution with Candice.
Right.
And I hope that, that sounds good to you guys. I hope that, hearing about small businesses and entrepreneurship and hearing me shout out like bomb ass entrepreneurs that I have been, had the pleasure of meeting and working with is something you want to continue hearing about. I hope that it in some way inspires you if you have an idea that you have been sitting on sometimes for years, right? Like that this is probably the time to try it. So I'm putting everyone, including myself, on notice that there's going to be a little bit of an evolution with the Breezy Moms podcast, where we're going to start talking more specifically about business, about launching, about being a badass entrepreneur, about like letting go of fear, about doing it afraid, about jumping in and figuring it out later, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
that's it's just it's where my head is at, and I feel like I've done a lot in the last several months to compartmentalize the things that I'm doing, and it's driving me a little bit crazy, right? And the reality is that you cannot be just a mom right now.
Right.
Right. It's not
You got
like
to be
at seven
everything.
o'clock you're a mom, at 9 o'clock you're a business person, at 11 o'clock you're a wife, right? You're like all of these things at the same time. And so I'm learning how to live in all of those places at the same time. And when I took a second, over the last couple days and especially today, to look at, like different podcasts, different business ideas, like it's just me, right? It's just Candice. It's just me trying to do whatever makes me happy and gets me through the day. And hopefully it makes other people happy too. Number one, the people who are closest to me in my house. And number two, the people that I love and am able to reach on these various platforms. But some of the pressure that I've put on myself to keep things compartmentalized, I'm releasing, right?
You
I'm
have
just
to.
gonna release it. So you
In the
might
end,
see,
you have to do what works for you.
yes, yes, to make it work for everybody.
Right.
So I think that, in the next couple weeks, I'm not saying like brand new Candice, right? I'm just saying like all of it is Candice.
Yeah.
It's all been me all along. And I'm gonna try and rein in some of the different arms that are, you know, doing all kinds of stuff and coordinate a little bit better so
Right.
that it's very clear that all of these different things are not are I was afraid for a second that like it came off flighty, right? Oh, what's Candace doing now? And actually I want it to be like, oh, what's Candace doing now? Right?
Right.
Like
Well,
because
no,
that's
but
how I feel when I do it.
how does one platform allow you to better the other one, right? And have it come full circle, right? So
Mhm.
if you're
Mhm.
working and you feel positive about the things that you're talking about and the things that you're doing in your life, and in the end this was the outlet to let people know, okay, here's what's working for me, here's how I feel, you're not alone, here's what you can do. Why not incorporate some of those successes and other things that you're doing and have it come full
Exactly.
circle,
I love it. Perfect.
right?
Perfect. So yeah, that's where we are. And I just wanted to say it out loud, part of like I said, putting viewers on notice, but also documenting for myself so that I can have this little reminder that at episode 106, I gave myself permission to just be myself, right? And to like
Right.
live in live and accept all the things that I'm doing all are a part of the story.
Right.
And part of me is convincing you, but also convincing me, convincing myself. But I think that a lot of times, many of us think that we have to be, have like your professional look or your fun, or like you have that one page on social media where you say anything, right?
Right.
Um, but they're all me. No.
There's
No, you
somebody at my
can't. No, you
doorbell.
cannot be naked on the show. Yes, please go back downstairs. You see how my life interrupts? This just it's all one life. It's all one life. He's
It's weird, there's
absolutely
somebody at my
naked.
door.
All right. So, on that note, I hope that um, you will continue to ride with us. You will continue to watch the show. Ooh, somebody said something. Hold on. Ooh, sorry.
Yeah, somebody's at
Let's
my
see.
door.
Ooh, someone's at your door.
Yeah.
Here we go. Hi, Zahara. Thanks so much for tuning in. It's good to see you. Try it all. Life is short. I love it. I love it. Yes, that is absolutely the goal. And Jocelyn, thanks so much for watching. So yeah, I hope that you will continue to watch the show, continue to ride with us, and I hope that this gives you just a little bit of
Oh,
permission,
Jocelyn.
if you were looking for it, to allow yourself to dream big, do what you want, and like figure out the details later, right? Just jump in first. Um, so, on that note, thanks so much for tuning in. You can find us on all of the places. Don't forget I will put the links below if you want to. You can go and support the three entrepreneurs slash creators that we highlighted in the beginning. And that show, the Amplify Showcase, is going to be on YouTube. So I'll have the link below. Please do go and check out the videos and subscribe to the channel. This show is now going to be hosted on our Emlyn Group page on YouTube. And so, because again, I can't handle all the different pages. So please do follow the Emlyn Group page on YouTube so that you don't miss our upcoming episodes and all the different things that we are working on. And then, of course, if you prefer your podcast on audio, you can find us on all the audio platforms. So until next time.
Vote.
Oh, yes, do vote. It's coming up. It's
Yep.
coming up.
12 days.
All right. 12 days. 12 days. All right. So until next time.
Follow us at Facebook at Breezy Moms Podcast or email us at breezymomspodcast@gmail.com. Until next time, don't stress, just breathe.